So I know how to really work to get new jobs and to get exports that help to create more new jobs.
But you haven't done it in 30 years or 26 years.
Well, I've been a senator, Brenda, and I've been a secretary of state, and I have done a lot.
One of the worst trade deals to ever happen to
the manufacturing industry. That is your opinion.
You go to England, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Gordon, and you will see devastation where manufacture is down 30, 40, sometimes 50%. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country, and now you want to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership.
There is such a thing that's very effective called an unintended epiphany. And yeah, I just made that term up, but whatever. Where someone tries to prove something and they end up proving the exact opposite. Essentially learning themselves what the truth is. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have told these people consistently, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is the truth. They don't believe it. But then they try to prove the exact opposite to people. And they go out of their way to set up a scenario and a scientific experiment, essentially, to prove their point. And they do that, and in so doing, they actually prove the exact opposite point. And you can almost see their heads explode when they go, oh. This is going to be a study of those cases. So an economics professor and a professor specializing in ethnodrama, I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently what ethnodramatists, I guess is what they're called, do is they match the speaking patterns, the inflection, the characteristics, everything that they would get from any type of source to put it together in order to do the most accurate reenactment of someone possible. And throughout history, so they take Napoleon, take one of his speeches, get all the history together, and then try to reenact what it was like for Napoleon to give some speech, stuff like that. So what they decided to do was take the Trump and Clinton, the 3 debates that they had on the presidential stage, and simply switch the genders. So they have a woman who is named Brenda King, or at least for the debates that was her stage name, who's playing as Donald Trump, and then Jonathan Gordon was the stage name of the person playing Hillary Clinton. And they took these 3 debates, and they did it pretty well. I mean, if you watch the original video, and I recommend that you do, it was unlisted for a while, and then The Guardian relisted. It's a rehearsal, but you can tell that these people have extreme attention to detail. They've done a really good job in recreating these debates with simply the sexes switched. So what happened? Well, they decided to show these debates as like a theater production and have people fill out surveys both before and after. And when they showed these to people, which is, they did this around NYU, so it's going to be a liberal hotbed, a lot of leftists go to this. What ended up happening was people no longer saw the same message in Hillary that they did with the now male Jonathan Gordon character. They ended up saying, wait a minute, you know, this woman over here who's representing Donald Trump actually has a lot of good points. And let's see what they said specifically. We heard a lot of, now I understand how this happened, meaning how Trump won the election. Yeah, no shit. People got upset. Well, that's what happens when you challenge their obvious, I mean, these people are obviously sexist. They don't think that they are, but apparently they must be if this is their reaction to this. There was a guy 2 rows in front of me who was literally holding his head in his hands, and the person with him was rubbing his back. Yeah, reason being that when you challenge the core principles, the core ideology of what someone has to this degree and smack them in the face with it like this, their initial reaction is going to be something along the lines of this, like, oh no, how could I have been this stupid? It's an oh no moment. It's a oh, I get it moment. Because if they actually had open minds to begin with, they might have warmed up to Trump, but they were so busy going with this with her narrative that, look, we're not sexist, that's why we choose the woman over the man. What? That doesn't make any sense. And people are screaming at them, hey, you know, maybe you should drop the sexism. But they wouldn't listen to that. That just makes them tighter. Whereas something like this, actually showing it to them with people that have bias to begin with, trying to prove that that they would like the man, I guess, they would really appreciate Hillary's message, and she would have won if only she was a man, to prove that the nation is sexist. Well, it backfired and showed the exact opposite. There's other examples of this. There's some great ones out there. There's a Prager University video. And Prager University, if you're not aware, was kicked off of YouTube for a while just for being conservative and being popular. And they cover the traditional neocon, slightly more paleo-conservative talking points. And they do it with infographics and various experts that come in, but they're definitely pushing a conservative agenda. And their video, I'll give you a little sample of it here.
In 1960, 72% of all adults ages 18 and older were married. Today, it's 49%. In 1960, the average age at which men married was 23. Today, it's 29.
In Prager University's video here called Be a Man, Get Married, they're trying to prove to their audience that it's beneficial economically for them to get married. But let's see the evidence that they use and the statistics that they provide.
Men who get married work harder and more strategically and earn more money than their single peers from similar backgrounds. Marriage also transforms men's social world. They spend less time with friends and more time with family. They go to bars less and to church more.
The funniest thing about this is that PragerU for this entire video provides nothing but stats that say things like, yeah, you'll earn more money, but then you'll have 3 mouths to feed. And they never address the real glaring issue, which is feminism. Feminism has changed the court system to where if you get divorced and you're a man, you're going to lose your kids. You're also going to have to pay a lot of money and probably lose your house to your wife. And then you're going to live in some low-rent, crappy place, working your ass off and not seeing any of that money, to the point where you would have been better off working that minimum wage job in the beginning, stamping out plates in a factory. I mean, the comments on this, they were trying to convince their audience, of course. It convinced the audience of the exact opposite thing in watching this video, and you can tell from just all these comments. A lot of them are just MGTOW people who already believe this, and MRAs and things like that. But then, if you were a regular person coming in to view this video, as a man, you would say, holy shit, no wonder so many people aren't getting married. If anybody remembers the case of Walter Scott, the whole reason he ran from the South Carolina police officer that shot him 8 times in the back in the first place was because he had been to prison 3 times over back child support. That's why his family thought he ran anyway. But according to a 2009 survey, 13.2% of the inmate population in South Carolina is there for jail for contempt of civil court for falling behind on child support payments. Oh yeah, South Carolina, also, you can't get a lawyer. You can't get your public defender in that case because it's considered a civil case even if it has the weight of jail time behind it. So in conclusion, on the PragerU video, they tried to show to their audience a specific narrative that you should be a man and get married, but the stats that they showed and the way that they showed it proved the exact opposite. Good job, PragerU. Now, I touched on this little phenomenon before, this unintended epiphany before, with my request to leftist people to argue for a point that they didn't agree with to other leftists, just to see what the reaction was. And I don't think that's the best way to go about it anymore, because they're obviously going to see me as a right-leaning person. But if you come into them as an ally, as someone on their side, on the left, and say, hey, you know, a lot of people on the right don't agree with you on this particular issue, whatever it is, rather than suggest that Emma Watson should go visit a migrant camp because you think she'll get attacked without security, she come at it where, look, Emma, there are a lot of refugees who are just good people, and if you could go to a migrant camp and show the world, bring a camera crew but no security, because the security will ruin the entire attitude. But if you go there and make a video that shows how great these people are and go and talk to them and show that they're really human beings, then that would be great for our cause. That's a different way to do it. Same thing with George Clooney or J.K. Rowling, for example, with these migrants saying, all right, instead of saying, hey, you know, you should let them into your house because they'll trash the place. What you should say is, George, people aren't, or JK, what's her first name? I don't even know, but Harry Potter lady. Hey, you know, a lot of people don't like these migrants. They don't like all these immigrants in their nation. They think they're dangerous. They think they're violent. They think they're just sucking up welfare and not really going to integrate that well into society. Maybe if you could be the first one to show them that they're wrong by letting them into one of your mansions to live for a year, you know, that would be a really good way. And just have them visit every once in a while with a camera crew. Because, oh man, I would absolutely love to see that. But it'd be a totally different way to go about it to get them to actually do these things. You could have one of these ultra-radical feminist types become as man for a year to prove male privilege. Oh wait, they did that. She went nuts and wrote a book about it. You could set up a study where a bunch of leftists decide to prove that socialism works. So they take 10 people into the study and they're all supposed to do a certain amount of work to make the society function, and just see what happens. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Show me I'm wrong. And then the unintended epiphany when you're proven wrong will be so fun to at least watch. I know that not everyone will actually accept the conclusion that comes out of each one of these type of things. But every single time one of these happens, oh man, they are so fun to watch.